Welcome back to the channel, guys. It is Mike, and this is the Variety Show. And today, this is season two of Random Talk. Season one ended, the finale ended with just me and Trey, and I thought, what a great way to start off season two with my dad and Trey. And we're gonna talk about the passing of Chadwick Boseman. What's his last name?
Bozeman.
Boseman, Chadwick Boseman. We're gonna start it off with that. So, give this video a like and subscribe. So, yeah, I found out literally when I was at work. I just got a bunch of text messages, not text messages, it's notifications. And yeah, when did y'all find out?
I found out when my son Deuce texted me. I think it was
Okay.
about 50 minutes ago. He texted me, and then right after that, something came through on my phone, a notification that he had passed away.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I told you, Dad, didn't I?
Yeah, my son told me.
Yeah.
So after he told me, then just like anything, you just kind of go cross reference stuff on the social media, and sure behold, every feed was just about that. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
sad to see, especially such a young man.
43. And he played a lot of role, like a lot of iconic roles. Like he played Jackie Robertson in 42. He played James Brown in Get On Up, and then later he played Black Panther, which is probably the world that he is most well known for. So
He also played Thurgood Marshall in the movie too. The famous the first black Supreme Court justice. He also played Thurgood Marshall.
yeah, so he played a lot of like he played a lot of iconic figures in the African American community. And yeah, so 2020 is just taking out a lot of celebrities and just a lot of people in general.
Uh,
Crazy thing is, they said that he'd been battling cancer for about 4 years. So you got to figure some of these last movies that he made, the first Black Panther, I mean the only Black Panther, his appearance in Endgame, and even the Five Bloods movie that just came out on Netflix. He was filming
Yeah,
knowing that he had this cancer.
yeah. And from what I know, Black Panther 2 was supposed to be released next year, 2021. However, I really don't think it was going to come out in 2021 because like look at 2020, and I don't think they started production yet. They don't even have a plot from what I know yet. The only thing I know about the Black Panther 2 is that it has something to do with Atlantis, and I think that's gonna segue into Namor the Submariner. However, like when it comes to Marvel, like I honestly don't know what they're gonna do. Will they replace him? Will they just cancel the character entirely? I think they're gonna have to replace him. I think that's what they're gonna eventually do. Now, how do y'all feel about that?
I mean, who's to say? I mean, like you have some movies, when they do production, sometimes they already might have the insights that they're gonna do another sequel, and sometimes they do pre pre work and stuff. So you never know. It might be some scenes already cut for that.
Also, I wonder if how much knowledge did Marvel have of his medical condition. He's been fighting this for 4 years. I will say an excellent job was done as far as confidentiality, but did they know that maybe he was sick? To be honest with you, the last few pictures that I saw of him and one he did earlier this year, I think it was right around the beginning of the pandemic. You could tell he was smaller than he was from when he recorded uh, the Black Panther movie. But that means nothing as far as
Nothing.
for an actor
Yeah,
Yeah,
getting
because
getting
those
maybe getting in character for another film.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
we don't know. Maybe Marvel knew, maybe they don't. I believe I feel bad for the generation, the younger generation, because Black Panther was an iconic film. We saw how it just really galvanized and how positive it was for the Black community. You had little kids running around talking about Wakanda forever. But that's, the sequel would have had some type of sting to it. And you had a generation of kids that would grew up with a Black superhero. He's passed on. So Marvel has a lot to think about. I do think maybe there were some scenes that was shot. We know with the technology today, they may be able to computer generate some things, but who's to know what they will do? I just know it's real tragic. Man, this has been a crazy year. One for the ages. It's making me reflect because two public figures that's passed this year, Kobe and him, are both around the same. I'm around the
John
same.
Witherspoon too. Well, John Witherspoon was this year too. I think early January.
Yeah, I was just saying those two are my age. Kobe was
Yeah.
around my age, and me and Chadwick Boseman was born the same year. So it's just kind of a sobering fact. Rest in peace to John Witherspoon. He was older. He actually went to high school with my father. But it's just crazy. And to not know anything about it and then for this to happen is just really a shocker.
Yeah, and yeah, it's crazy. It's definitely crazy. What I think that they might do, because they have the technology to have him in the movie anyway, because of I mean, they had Paul Walker in a new Fast and the Furious movie. So
I mean,
yeah,
I'll just put it like this. I think it would be only right to have a scene or so with him.
yeah.
I mean,
Now, go
I
ahead.
don't think you can't do that movie without putting clips in of him. You know what I'm saying? The king, you know. So that's just my take on it. Like I think that they would do that just off of respect.
Yeah, but like Marvel did well, it don't have nothing to do with the death, but the first Iron Man movie, like me and Trey's gonna and Deuce are eventually gonna review that when we get to it. But when you watch the first Iron Man, Rhodey War Machine was Terrence Howard, and he was replaced after that movie. So they can, and Black Panther was in. It's only been one Black Panther, so they can replace him. Just like they did, just like what they did to Terrence Howard, but to definitely different circumstances, because one was a death, and the reason why Terrence Howard was replaced because he wanted more money than Robert Downey Jr., which we all three of us know that wasn't going to happen because he wasn't the lead. So they replaced him. So they can easily just replace him. That I think that's what they might do, and probably give reference and give respect to him. Because at the end of the day, it's a business, and the show must go on. Like, I know it's sad, but yeah, I
I
think
see
that's
it,
like, huh?
I see it as very difficult. It's definitely possible. I'm not saying it's not possible, and I'm not saying it's not probable. But the difference here, so let's take almost every superhero that you could think of, some of them even in the Marvel world, have been replaced. How many different Batmans have we seen? Superman,
Shoot.
Superman has been different as well. Uh, of course, especially when it's over a span of time. You think about James Bond. You've seen multiple James Bonds. The difference here is this was the beginning of the Black Panther lineage. So if Chadwick Boseman would have had the opportunity to do maybe 3 or maybe 2 of them, and he gets replaced, okay, we had that era and that time to enjoy him. He only did one. He only did one. I'm not saying it won't happen, but after the initial movie, I think people are. I take your niece and your cousin, my daughter. She always saw him on any time on the TV, and she always said Wakanda. So it lets you know really what she associated him with. So It can be done. I do think it'll be difficult though, just because people were associating Black Panther with Chadwick Boseman because it hasn't been around long enough for we've had a chance to enjoy him for 5-6 years in this role, and I can understand somebody else ready to take it over.
And really, I just had a thought, really, because like honestly, we don't know what they could have done. This is what they could have did because they did it in the comments. Black Panther has like I think not right now, but once his sister eventually took on the Black Panther mantle. Like they can always do that too. And who knows? Probably in a new movie, Black Panther has been like something happened to Black Panther where he couldn't be Black Panther anymore, and that could have been a plot of Black Panther 2, and Shuri probably took over. That could be that could be the case there too. Like it's a lot of stuff that they could do.
It's a lot of variables, and I just say one more time, I wonder how much knowledge Marvel had of his health.
Man, I'm sure that's something that they had to know because I mean
Exactly.
just the type of work and the action and things of that nature. I mean, you your employer needs to know that type of information, especially when you're at high risk. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you might need special kind of treatment, things of that nature. So, and I'm sure his his treatments and stuff had to work around filming and things of that nature. So, I mean, I just think that it's one of those things where I'm sure they had to know. Especially, I mean, and he was real cool with the director as well, right?
Yeah.
It depends on the director, man. But most likely, bro, I would say yes because from what I know about the MCU set and everything, everybody is unselfish. Like nobody's selfish on set. Cause remember, in game, it was people that literally showed up for one day. So like the lack of selfishness of these of the actors, I'm pretty sure everybody did get along. And from what I hear, like that was the case. Everybody most likely did get along. Probably not in phase one because you had the Hawk being replaced and like again Terrence Howard, but now I think everybody is there was bad blood at first when it comes to the set, but it's not anymore. But yeah, our condolences from the Variety Show channel goes out to the family of Chadwick Boseman, like family and friends. Our condolences go out to y'all, and that's the end of that discussion. So now we're gonna talk about the NBA. Let's talk about the NBA, guys.
Wakanda forever.
So,
Gotta say that though. Wakanda
yeah,
forever.
yeah, Wakanda forever. So I did not know that they were boycotting games, and apparently yesterday they decided to continue the playoffs again. So, like I want y'all to like what actually happened. I know it was like a police shooting that was the cause of the whole boycotting. So, can y'all kind of elaborate on what actually really happened?
So you had Jacob Blake, excuse excuse me, sorry about that. You had Jacob Blake in Kenosha, Wisconsin, which is just north of Chicago. He had an
Okay.
encounter with the police. Uh, from what I'm understanding, and I can definitely be corrected, there was a weapon, quote unquote, in the car. He was walking towards the car with an officer or officers behind him. As he opened the door, they shot him 7 times in the back. Of course, in this climate that we're in, people didn't take too kindly to that because they're probably thinking there's other measures that could have been taken, especially with 4 officers, I think, minimum present before he started walking to his car, tase, subdue him, and use other type of ways to subdue him. Protest some social unrest, quote unquote. And
Okay.
being that we just had George Floyd, Ahmad Arbery. And then you just got to think of, I mean, come on, from Mike Brown, Tamir Rice. It's just been so much just in our generation.
Breonna Taylor.
Yeah, Breonna Taylor. I mean, people, it's a boiling point. So the Milwaukee Bucks, of course, is the number one seed. They're actually one of the teams favored to win the championships. And, that's right in their backyard. It's north of Chicago, just south of Milwaukee, because they're not that far, only about an hour apart from each other. And the stance was taken that they weren't going to play. The LA Lakers and the Clippers met and said, we done for the season. So all the games on Wednesday were boycotted in the NBA and nobody played. Now, it followed
Wednesday and Thursday, I believe.
Thursday as well. It started on Wednesday and there was no games.
So pretty much Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Let me make sure I'm right. It started on Thursday because today was the second
Thursday
day.
and Friday then.
Thursday and Friday, you're correct. Now, yesterday, I know not football, but some baseball teams didn't play. The Dodgers didn't play and the Brewers didn't play. And then NHL took the same stance. Now, the NBA will get back to playing games on Saturday.
Okay.
And Clippers included. One of the things is, one moment. One of the things is you got to look at what's called the CBA. That's the collective bargaining agreement where owners, this is what you're going to do, players, this is what you're going to do. So it's a binding contract. And if you violate that, you then put yourself in jeopardy of receiving certain penalties, especially financial penalties, because we know it's a big situation here where people pay millions of dollars for commercial slots because we know a lot of people watching these games. So if you don't play, my commercial slot is worthless. I want my money. That's a whole different story. So, but Adam Silver, I do give him credit, is a good mediator. So he said some different measures will be taken. I don't know what that is. We'll have to wait and see on Saturday. But yeah, it was refreshing to see public figures in the sports arena say, look, we done had enough of this. This is crazy. It's bigger than sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Trey. I really don't want to go in depth on the incident because I didn't really dig into it. I seen the clip and you can kind of go both ways on that. And it's just unfortunately, if you're a person in the uniform of blue, you're the bad guy. No matter if you're good or if you're bad, it's just you're the bad person. So I definitely would not want to be a police officer during this time.
No doubt.
But as far as the NBA, I personally didn't think that it was gonna last long. And just when you start talking about money, money somehow trumps everything, some which way, form, or fashion. That almighty dollar is going to be on top. So I'm sure, like your LeBrons can say, okay, no problem. Take the money. He can afford that. He can afford to take a hit. But you have a lot of those players that's still trying to climb to the top and get financially set. And those individuals, when you in that type of bracket, you have a different lifestyle that you have to maintain. And one way to affect that is taking away your money. So it's unfortunate. I do appreciate the stand, of the players. But me personally, I knew it wasn't gonna last that long. And it's shocking to see that the NHL is actually supporting as well.
And everything you said was eloquently put and stated. I do think not delving or jumping deeply into the incident, but I do believe one component we left out that I believe kind of helped shape this narrative was the treatment of the 17-year-old who had an AR-15 who ended up killing 3 individuals. So,
Right.
it's coming out that he called someone after killing the first person. I believe that it was stated that he was walked home or somehow he was allowed to go home. That, I believe, has to be mentioned. We're not going to dig off into it or divert, but that has to be mentioned because I think that also became part of the unrest. They had already started protesting, but that also plays a large part in the inequity or the unfair treatment that these our different groups are receiving here in America.
Right.
Also, what you said is true because you take LeBron James right now making close to $40 million. They're playing the Portland Trailblazers, and there's a guy named Nas Reed who's a rookie who's probably not making no more than $2 million. That's a lot of money, but look at the disparity. And like you said, Devon, LeBron missing $400,000. That's a lot of money, but it's not going to kill him, especially with all his other investments. What would $400,000 mean to someone making $2 million? That's a quarter day. That's a lot of money. So
Right.
I'm just throwing that amount out. What if the fine for violating the collective bargaining agreement was $400,000 per player?
And
Everybody
I'm
can't take that hit. So you're 100% right that it was a great gesture, but they did sign a contract and they are legally binding to that contract. That contract is legally binding. So I appreciate the gesture, and I do believe Adam Silver, the commissioner, will try to explore some different methods for those guys to be able to use the NBA as a platform against social injustice.
yeah, because I mean, you look at it as a business where which LeBron is a business owner. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when it comes to tax time, that's considered a loss, and I'm
Yep.
sure some way he can intertwine that loss from the NBA into his taxes where it's gonna not affect him as much.
Yep. And he can do that because of the amount that he's worth, his net worth. Um, Other players who are just not in, he's what? LeBron is what? 16, 17 years in the league. He's had
Hmm.
time to establish himself. If I'm Nas Reed that plays on the opposite team with him against him, the team that he's actually playing in the playoffs, he's a rookie. He hasn't established himself. So the NBA is for all those players, not just Steph, what's his name? James Harden, Westbrook, LeBron. I'm just naming the ones making a large amount of money. You got to look at those guys that I think the minimum in the NBA is like 700,000. Some people
Yeah.
make it. So,
Now what? Now what if LeBron, like your top dogs that's making the big bucks
Mhm.
in the NBA, especially for the playoffs? What if they convince the other players, you know what, we gonna take this hit and we gonna support each other as a whole,
got
and we're going to not fold and not play because we all know the NBA needs LeBron, they need Kawhi, they need all these top players because people want to see them. So, what stance would that have made if your top players said, "No, we're not gonna play. Whatever you gonna do, we gonna choke it up. We gonna stick together as a whole, and whatever y'all decide to do, we gonna support each other and make it happen."
I believe the Lakers and Clippers wanted to do that. the thing you
because
said,
they was the only two that was like, you know what, forget
yeah,
it. We ain't doing it. We ain't
but
playing.
that would have been major because still the number one star in the NBA is LeBron globally, and then you got Kawhi Leonard, who's a very noticeable star as well, Anthony Davis as well. But something you said that we have to take into account, where you have to use intellect before emotion, is this is still about money. It's a capitalist society. You play in the NBA, and the owners structure themselves to where they have to negotiate with a union. So if you stop playing, the next generation is screwed when it comes to collective bargaining, because now the owners can say, y'all don't live up to your word. Y'all agreed to this contract. You agreed to play these amount of games on these days under these conditions, and you decided not to play. We did it for social justice. We understand that. But you signed this contract. And I think you know where I'm going with it, where
Right.
even if certain things occur, which is kind of an extenuating circumstance, that makes no difference if it's in ink and you consented to it. So this was a very tricky situation. Chris Paul is the Players Association president. They knew they could get away with probably a few games where there would be no financial ramifications, and I think they did that to send a statement. But this couldn't go on long term, because then the CBA would have been thrown in the toilet, and now the owners would have went back to having the leverage in negotiations with the players. So I hope they keep this same energy outside of the NBA games and keep venting like LeBron doing with the hat that he had. Where instead of the MAGA hat, it said, make sure you arrest the officers that murdered Breonna Taylor. Keep doing stuff like that. Keep bringing attention to the social injustice.
Yeah, definitely. So, any other comments on the NBA?
I like the approach of them being a vanguard, but not the NBA. I was really happy to see Major League Baseball, which is not a sport that's majority black. And of course, NHL hockey, which we know is a sport where it's a very few amount of African Americans or black people in that sport, take a stand as well. So it's good to see solidarity from everyone looking at this thing has to change.
Yeah. So the next topic we're going to talk about, Trey, did you get the link I sent you?
Yes, I'm looking at it.
Okay, so me and my dad was talking about this. The whole Spider-Man situation, the PS4, the Avengers game that's gonna come out, and it's controversy behind it because Spider-Man is only on the Avengers game. You can only play as Spider-Man if you have the PlayStation. This have got a lot of backlash because fans that have Xbox won't be able to play as Spider-Man, and they feel that they are getting an incomplete game while PlayStation is getting the full game. Even though that's not the case, Sony owns Spider-Man, so it makes sense that Spider-Man is playable on the Xbox, on the PlayStation.
Yeah,
Huh?
that's their device. PlayStation is made by Sony, so it makes sense that they would allow that game to be played on their device.
And a lot of fans are talking about anti-consumerism. And I had to look that up. And to me, I just look at it as fans are just going to complain about anything and everything. That's how I'm looking at it.
Well, you're in the gaming world, and tell us this: how many games are only exclusive to one system? Is this
there's a couple. Like Gears of War is only exclusive. Like the whole game, Gears of War, is only exclusive to Xbox. Let me try to think of a PlayStation exclusive. PlayStation have its own exclusive games too, but this is different from an exclusive game. Like Xbox have the Avengers game that's coming out, and PlayStation has the Avengers game that's coming out. But the only difference is PlayStation you can play as Spider-Man, but with Xbox you can't play as Spider-Man. That's the only difference.
So is this a license issue?
I
That's what it
mean,
sounds like.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
that.
how.
Yeah, it's just, that's what it sounds like. But fans are angry because let's be honest, Spider-Man is arguably one of the most popular comic book characters.
I agree.
Period.
I agree.
And I mean, just look at like a 5 or not a 5, but like a 12-year-old, like a kid that's a Spider-Man fan that got the Xbox, and sad that's not that they can't play that's as their favorite character.
I mean, like we said in the NBA, and we've talked about, it goes down to that almighty dollar.
Yes, sure.
Everybody is trying to have leverage, and this is strictly a money pool. And I mean, and probably the only people that's really complaining is either diehard Xbox users, which don't have a PS system, or you have Spider-Man fanboys that don't have a PS system either. So I mean, if you had both gaming systems, you're not complaining.
So the reason why they chanting anti-consumerism because like these fans are thinking they're forcing you to buy the PlayStation.
Now that I think that goes back to the emotional side, and I think what you said, Devon, has to be correct and has to be taken into the in consideration in this equation. This is money. We can go be outside of the gaming industry, and we know there's all type of different products and some services that are exclusive to certain things or certain areas, or it has to be used in tandem with this. So if you don't utilize, I'm trying to think of a good example. You probably could think of one, Divine, where you have to buy this. Nobody, you can't get this nowhere else.
Sure. I mean, look at Apple
Apple,
iPhone.
you know what I was just ready to say? If you want to purchase gas, you can't buy a Tesla. No,
Yep.
that's not fair. You got a car where you can't use gas. Hey, don't buy a Tesla.
Right.
Now
How
it's kind of similar. Where that's why I asked you that question, Mikey. Where how often does this happen? And you said
this is but when it comes to Marvel, this is actually the first time this has ever happened because there's a lot of games that's on the Xbox 360 that's a spot that you can play as Spider-Man.
Mhm.
Like when it has like the whole super hit, like when it has all the superhero, the first like the Spider-Man PlayStation PS4 game, that game was only exclusive to PlayStation 4, but they didn't complain about it. They complaining about the Avengers game because you can't play it you because you can't play as Spider-Man on the Xbox, which I like this is the first time like Marvel Ultimate Alliance doesn't matter what system you have, the Xbox or the PlayStation, you can still play as Spider-Man. Marvel Legos, you can still play as Spider-Man if you have the Xbox or the PlayStation. But with this game, you can't, and I think that's the big controversy behind it now.
you got to understand that there's a way to rectify this. You're just going to have to buy the other system. If you have both systems,
Yeah.
yeah, you're not going to have to worry about that issue 99% of the time.
See, my
I,
question. Go ahead.
no, I was just ready to say, I doubt this will be the last time where, especially listening to you, uh, this will be the last game that's only exclusive to this. Because I know some games, especially around holiday time or whenever some of those games drop, like Madden or Live, sometimes some of those games only come out on a certain system first. First, they come out on a certain system. So I, there's a way to rectify it. Most people probably don't want to do it. And since this is new, Mikey, that's probably why they're yelling that
Yeah,
term you said.
anti-consumerism. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like now, what I'm thinking, how will Microsoft react? Because Microsoft were like, hey, a lot of people are going to buy the PlayStation because you could play as Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man is popular, so I'm pretty sure a lot of people want to play as Spider-Man. What Microsoft might do to bring them back to him? Like Microsoft can do. Well, I don't think there's a character that's popular than Spider-Man, but but Microsoft can be like, okay, well we got Wolverine, or okay, we got Moon Knight, Marvel's Batman.
Now,
Like,
this is what I told Mick. I said
Mm-hmm.
your Xbox fans should get with Microsoft and tell Microsoft to spend some money to Sony and say, hey, could we have some of those rights to our system?
That's right. That sounds like a very logical
I mean,
solution. Because really,
right,
that's what it comes down to. How much are you
right.
going to be willing to pay them?
And it's sad because Microsoft, Xbox won't spend money with Sony, their competitors, so you can't blame Sony for having the rights to their character.
Yeah.
Why
and they're
don't
never
why
giving
don't
Spider-Man that.
why don't these users complain and cry to Xbox, Microsoft, and say, hey, stop being stubborn, kick out some money to get the game over here so we can play the game as well. But the pride of Microsoft, Xbox will not let that be. If that's the
Yeah.
case.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, Spider-Man's getting his own game anyway, so who cares? But the next topic, y'all ready for the next topic?
Yeah.
So Trey, I know you don't watch wrestling, but now WWE are doing the same thing that the NBA is doing with the virtual fans, right?
Okay.
Okay, but NBA basketball fans are way different from wrestling fans. Wrestling fans are, I'm not gonna say stupid, but they do stupid things. So you had like, so they had certain fans like having Ku Klux Klan costumes on, like, wow, like that you can see. You had someone posted someone had like a literal picture of Chris Benoit, like, and they could choose any Chris Benoit photo, but they choose the last picture that Chris Benoit took after he killed his wife. So they doing dumb, like this is what WWE is doing, and they made a big like statement now saying, hey, if you do some stuff like this again, like you're getting blocked. So they're blocking people now. And I don't know, maybe the NBA have fans been doing stupid stuff like that. I wasn't paying attention, but so far it's just wrestling fans that's doing dumb stuff like that.
Well, you said that you said they're totally different. I want to
Yeah.
just break that down a little bit. You're talking
That,
about wrestling. You're talking
yeah,
about wrestling.
yeah.
So I asked you two this because I did start watching wrestling, a while back.
You trying to
How many
bury
times have
me.
you seen individuals with Confederate flags or things of that nature
Yeah. I
at,
mean,
at, at
pretty
wrestling?
much talking about, a good old boy sport,
Yeah,
you
that's
know, and and probably majority of the athletes are good old boys, rednecks, and their fan base, I won't say all, probably is the same and has that same theory to it. So it's it all comes to there's no security and no policing. When you go to an event, they checking the signs. They checking you at the door, screening you, things of that nature. I mean, there's no screening while you're in your home behind your computer. So,
Can I
and I'm
ask y'all
not
this?
sure how
I'm
often that's
sending you the
monitored.
picture now, Trey.
Well, I had another question.
Go ahead.
How often are they showing the fans?
Oh, yeah, like they literally right there.
Yeah, it's definitely different from the NBA. The
Better.
NBA,
It's
like
better than the NBA.
their screens are a lot further back in the
Yeah.
NBA because the screens look to be behind the bench almost,
Yeah.
and it's not as much. So I think NBA is behind the bench. Then I think you have one at one goal. I'm not sure if both goals have
Yeah.
screens.
They have fans behind the goals as well.
Both of them.
Yeah,
Okay, so
but they further
just
back.
the amount of blocks that they have,
Mm-hmm.
like wrestling has way more. So it's like how wrestling have done it. So they
It's
took
almost
like
like
the
people
whole,
are actually there.
yeah, it almost appeared like it's a true crowd. So they have it from like the main floor
Mm-hmm.
and it's going up like it's actual in an arena. So it looks cool because it actually looked like people are there watching it, and it looks a lot clearer than NBA as well.
Okay. And
So
also, normally, what's the attendance like at one of those WWE?
Well,
Uh,
it depends on the
depends on
show.
the venue.
no, I definitely know that. What on average? Are you talking about 10,000,
Probably
40,000?
More.
so.
Well, it
Probably so.
depends.
Just
Like
like
it
on a
depends.
probably
Like,
like
are
at
you
a
talking
like
about
at a
like a
Raw.
regular Raw or like a regular Raw, SmackDown, NXT, or are you talking about like a pay per view?
No, just like a Raw or a
Just like a
SmackDown. You
Raw.
probably got
Raw
like
or
10,000.
SmackDown? Less. Well, yeah, 10,000, probably less
Yeah.
than that. But when you talking about like a SummerSlam, Rumble, Survivor Series,
Those
or
can get up to
Mania,
like 50, 60, 70,000.
well, Mania get up to more than that though.
And I guess the reason I asked was if you're saying 10, maybe 15,000, that's the average attendance at an NBA game. So that's the NBA attendance normally fluctuates between like 15 and 20,000 depending on the arena. I definitely understand why those pay-per-view events, yeah, you got to have more people. You normally going to charge more for that. It's a bigger event. It's just like Super Bowl tickets as opposed to going to a Lions game. It's going to be a
Yeah.
totally different price. But that's just interesting to hear you guys say that they focus on the fans much more than the NBA because basically you're dealing with a similar amount of people. But I'm looking at the picture you sent, Mikey. Yeah, that's crazy that they got the fans up close and personal.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe because the ring is smaller than the NBA.
And
The
plus
NBA court.
there's no going back and forth motion,
Yeah,
up and down the court where you got the ring and everything is inside that ring. Granted, it's movement in the ring, but it's not a camera going up and down.
yeah,
Well. Here's the thing about like even like when it comes to fans, even more so than like NBA, football, all that stuff. Wrestling definitely needs fans, like because even though the fans does play a role in basketball, football, but it's times 10 when it comes to wrestling. Would you agree with that, Dad?
Yeah, I mean, because football, you talking about 60,000 people,
No, I'm talking
so like,
about like the I'm talking about like the The interaction of the
Yeah,
fans.
but that's what I'm saying. You have
Okay.
like for football, you have like 60,000 people, 50,000 or whatever the case may be. And there's really not fan to player interaction unless a person scored a touchdown and the player jumps in the stand. So the athletes are kind of distanced from the fans. With wrestling, once you walk down that aisle, you're kind of
You're
right there with
performing.
the fans.
You literally have to perform to the crowd if you're a wrestler. Like you have to, like as a wrestler, you have to play off the crowd. The NBA, you don't, or football, you don't do that. But that's why like fans are way more important to wrestling than when it comes to like the interaction part.
So it seems then, if I can say this, like they should be a tad bit more diligent in screening, like you said, Divine. Who are you gonna put on there?
Yeah,
Uh, they cannot, and you can't hold the WWE responsible for someone wearing a Klan, regalia as a fan. They could have easily just been sitting there with a Stone Cold Steve Austin T-shirt or whoever and hat on, and then changed it to try to make it, to send a message.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
definitely, and that's what happened.
yeah.
But
That's what happened. And I think the wackiest one, like a dude was on was literally masturbating on the screen. So yeah, that like wrestling fans are weird, Trey.
Uh,
yeah.
to
And
say the
plus,
least.
I just realized and found out that with the the NBA and then the WWE, this is free. I thought they was charging people to sit on those things, but it's actually free.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna try to be in one if I'm not at work one of these days. I'll try to do one of those. What about y'all? Would y'all do something like that?
My brother tried to. My brother tried to do it, so I would think about it, but I'm not pressed like that. It's just something to do during the pandemic. But my brother tried, but it's quite a waiting list in basketball.
Yeah, but those are like the topics that like I wanted to talk about. But do y'all have remember this is random talk. We can talk about anything. Do y'all have any topics when it comes to like the entertainment business, like anything that y'all think where we should talk about before we close out?
I know they had the rally in DC today.
Which rally?
What was it? The 57th what was it called? I had to look it up. But the march in DC representing Doctors King.
Oh, shit. Yeah. 1963. You right. The I Have a Dream.
Yep,
The March on Washington. The guy
yep,
Bailey Preston. He was him and A. Philip Randolph. They were the ones that coordinated it. Two black
yeah.
guys. Yeah.
So
Uh,
actually, I had an invitation to go to that, but um, I didn't want to deal with the crowd
mm-hmm.
and the drive, so I kind of passed. I mean, I'm sure it's something that goes on in history. Um, I wasn't here 57 years ago, so
Mm-hmm.
this could have been something that I could have, you know, been able to talk about, but um, I'm just so leery when it comes to being in the streets now. Being out there in the mask and just around people. So if it wasn't a pandemic, COVID wasn't running rampant, I probably would have went, but just a little leery now.
I
What
understand.
about you, Trey?
I definitely understand and respect to that. I forgot it was August that happened 57 years ago. Just briefly, also respect because it was 65 years ago today that a lot of people would say that the civil rights movement really got its head of steam, so to speak. The same way we're looking at the protests today with George Floyd will go down in history as kind of pushing forward this protest era. Emmett Till was murdered 65 years ago today. This is when he died in Money, Mississippi at 14.
Yeah.
So, respect to that. But really all I was going to say was, it's that time of year with a lot of individuals getting ready to go back to school. And I just want to shout out being in education for over 20 years, just all the educators going back, knowing what type of situation that you're facing. This level of uncertainty. It's not the most safe situation. And for the kids, just be safe. Parents, be safe as well. If there's a virtual option, consider that. Everyone's situation is not the same, but consider that because we don't know what the kids are coming back to. We don't know what happens in other people's houses. And children, we know their immune system is different than full-grown adults. So, man, just want to pray and just want to say to all the kids going back to school, especially if they're going back in person, have your mask, have your hand sanitizer, be mindful, and the same for the staff and the same for the parents.
Yep. Well, anything else? Like any other topics y'all want to talk about, or that's it?
Hey, go grab that those fragrances. IntimateAromas.com. Stop playing.
Say that again. Say that again.
Go ahead, stop at IntimateAromas.com for all your designer fragrances. And
Yeah. Stop spinning. Go ahead.
Also, I will be having some exclusive lines coming soon. More to come on that, but a lot of niche fragrances. Again, IntimateAromas.com. I got like a little spin wheel on there. You can get up to 25% off if you hit that 25% off on that wheel. So a lot of savings on the site. Just a lot of different stuff is coming. Also, we got the merch on there as well. If you go to checkout and type in intimate, you get 15% off the merch. So yeah.
Be sure
Buy
to
some
drop the link.
intimate aroma.
Be sure to drop a link in the bio. Excuse me, Mikey. Be sure to drop that link and post that. So if there's any new listeners, they know how to get in contact with them. They know what site to go to. They can hear them, but it's better for them to see it as well.
And we
It's
just reached
gonna be
over
annoying.
1,000 followers today as well.
Congrats.
Yeah, congrats.
Appreciate it. 1,500 followers. I'm gonna do a giveaway. I'm gonna do like a nice little fragrance box. I'm not sure how I'm gonna set the giveaway up, but I do know at 1,500 followers, I think I'm gonna do a nice little giveaway.
Yeah, buy some fragrances, guys, and stop buying these girls' OnlyFans accounts. Like, stop it. That's stupid.
No.
I hope y'all don't got none. Because y'all sound a little quiet over there.
We listened to you. We gave you the floor. You know that's not how down. You already know that, Mikey. We was giving you the floor.
I know. It was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke.
That's how I was saying it back to you. Now you know we don't roll like that.
All right, that'll do it for this video. Stay tuned for Heat Wave 98 review and the Captain Marvel review whenever we get to it. That'll do it for this video, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Go on to the Intimate Aroma website. Go ahead, purchase some cologne for you, and if you got a girl, for her, or if you a girl, for you, and if you, yeah. But that'll do it. Bye.